Hello and welcome. This is Kristen from the Online Selling Show, and I'm going to give you some tips or some things to think about that I, as a hobbyist eBay seller, kind of was surprised with in the many years. And I'm going to tell you, this isn't a comprehensive list. This is by no means what you may find in your circumstances. Some of these things I would highly recommend that you contact either an attorney in that area of field of what I'm going to touch on, or your CPA, because state laws are going to be different and your tax implications are going to be different. But I think one of the first things that struck me was when you're an employee, you don't understand, or maybe you do see some of it, but I never really, and I'm talking from my perspective, I never understand what the employer match was to my paycheck. So when I made and I paid my own income taxes as an employee, and I paid into Social Security as an employee, or I paid into things like my state's unemployment and disability, I didn't understand that there was an employer match to that. And when I went to do my taxes, you had to pay again that item because you're self-employed, so you are the employer, so you have to pay that employer match as well as what the employee is paying. So that really kind of struck me, because it was like, what do you mean I already paid these taxes and stuff, and or the Social Security? And that kind of floored me. And I kind of at the time was very well paid, and what I was finding is when I was doing the eBay stuff, it was taking me to another tax bracket as well. So it seemed like I was really getting hit with these income tax bills. And when it really started, 2, 3, 4 years into it, I understood what it was, and I could just prepare for that. So I didn't want to quit because I was enjoying the hunt, and there was enough profit margin in what I was selling that I was able to, come up with those funds. So one of the first things I would say is, don't let it hold you back from doing it. Just know up front and prepare by putting money into an account, preparing yourself for that was a tax bill. One of the other things up front, when I started this was like in 2002. So people didn't understand even what eBay was. I mean, people had no idea what it was. And I'm going to tell you, some of the first things that hit me was the negativity of, you're going to do what? And that was people thinking that like I was crazy for wanting to sell things online. It has become so mainstream now. So that kind of a surprise is not here anymore. And that's a great thing, in my opinion. But I feel like you still are going to get those people that think you're crazy for doing it, or they're going to tell you how they tried it and it didn't work for them, and they're going to give you all the negativities of stuff. I tell you, if you fall into that pitfall where you start doubting, like, is it really like nuts to want to do this? There's plenty of YouTube channels, I would, besides mine, that will give you the confirmation that yes, it works and you can make money at it. You may need to just reevaluate the type of products you're selling or the way that you're pricing your stuff. Maybe you're pricing too low. But that was another surprise to me, was the amount of people that wanted to have this opinion on something that wasn't what they were doing. They'd never heard about it. They never tried it. And all of a sudden wanted to give me all their advice on what it was going to be about. I want to say the customer perception was another thing that really surprised me. Now, when I started this in 2002, I mean, I honestly did it with my mother's video camera, and I could get 4 pictures at a time. I had to learn the HTML because it was the wild, wild west days of eBay. You may hear it. If you haven't heard that term, it's been around for those of us that have been doing it for so long. We called it the Wild Wild West because anything went. It was just like ludicrous. Oh my God, the things that's evolved. And so you know, some of it just seemed like so crazy. Like, why does the buyers need all this? Why do they want all this? But you know what? I get it all now because I've bought myself. So I've learned through my buying that if you put yourself in that perspective of wanting to be the buyer of even your own product, and you list yourself that way, you put the expectation in for the way that you pack it and deliver it, you can be successful. But like I said, it would take me along this journey of 22 years, almost 23, many of those stumbling blocks, saying to myself, like, what does this buyer want now? What is the expectation? And there was a lot of that. I mean, when I was first doing this, I was having to take packages to the post office to get weighed and get quotes because we didn't even have like the online calculators that we have now. And I don't say this as a woe be me or I'm better or whatever, but I'm just saying it's like there was a lot of things along the way that was like, you know, like we used to have the smaller picture. I mean, there was literally people that would put up like 200 by 300 pixel pictures. And you would be like, well, you know, what more do they want? I've got these pictures up. They want pictures they can actually see. But it would just take me as a surprise. So I think some of the other surprises were how much money I really could make in doing this. And I say that in a positive way because I was working full time, and I did this as a luxury. Some of you may be trying to start this because you got downsized out of a job, or maybe you got disabled. You know, you don't have luxury of time. I had the luxury of time that I was still working a full-time job. My husband had a very good job as well, and we were paying our bills. This was just something that intrigued the entrepreneurial side of me, and like I said, I could just let the money sit. I didn't necessarily have things earmarked for it and everything. And you know, like I said, when I would get to the end of the year and I would be like, wow, I was able to make that much money, and I used it for a lot of things that were the extras in the house. So it felt really good that I could do those things with this money. I feel like it's still as viable today, if not more, with opportunity, because there's more shoppers on the marketplace now. There's a lot of other things I haven't thought about more on some of it. Some of the customer things, like I said, is really viewed as being negative, but I had to just take the customer feedback and reframe it a lot of times. And the depth of where I could go in myself to say, like, wow, like where I was able to evolve from out of that, the personal growth that I could come in out of that has been very eye-opening at times. I have mentioned in my other videos that for the past like 15 years, I've been in a wholesale business model. And the main family's income now, since 2017, is the only family's income, has been in a wholesale business model. And this new channel is coming in for me to do it in the retirement that we want to get to for the past 2 or 3 years. And I understand that I've had this luxury of time to start the first eBay e-commerce business to be able to evolve into becoming the family's household income. But I'm doing the planning now to get myself for where I want to be in the next 2 to 3 years. And again, I understand I have the luxury of time of being able to do that. But at the same time, I have had to stand back in this warehouse that I've had to build for the business. And it really is it's still a very wow moment to look around and say, like, I can't believe that through all of that negativity or stumbling blocks that I could get to where we are now. And there's a depth that if you just stick with it, you're going to surprise yourself and say, like, wow, I evolved from this to this. And like, again, this may not be an eBay business you want to be a family sole source of income. It may not be something that you're even looked to replacing a full-time job with. Maybe it's just something as a hobby business. But even that, when you approach it and you're handling this in a professional manner, and again, you're gonna step back. I guarantee you'll have those moments of wow. There's going to be those moments of, like doubt, and there's going to be those moments of like, what did I get myself into, of overwhelm. But when you stick with it and you just find the solutions that are going to work for you and your family, I'm telling you, there's going to be those moments of just, yeah. So those are some of the things I have for now. I am thinking about doing an episode on some of the things that I realized in shifting from a job to this business. And if you have some interest in hearing about that, I would love to hear some comments below. I'm also going to tell you that, obviously these were personal things that I saw for myself. I understand what my circumstances are not going to be the same circumstances for you. But I do believe that some of these things that I experienced are going to be things that you can do in your own way and get to your own journey with your own, you're going to be your own author of it in your own book. And I want to applaud you for it. And I want to tell you it's feasible, but it's not easy. It's never been easy is not the word for it. So I would appreciate some thumbs up if you got some inspiration or some insights maybe out of this video. And I would really appreciate if you could subscribe down below. It's free. It helps me grow the channel, but it also helps put my future uploads in your feed. So I'm going to say bye for now, and I'll catch you in the next one.